this is Casey, right?
Yeah, who's this?
Yeah, this is Brianna over at HomeAdvisor. I just got your text, so I figured I'd give you a call again. How's it going?
Oh, okay. But anyway, what's going on?
Yeah, so I could see that you were with us for about 2 years, and it looks like you took on quite a bit of leads. You had a five-star rating with over 14 reviews, so I was just calling to see, what happened, what caused you to cancel since you were with us for quite some time.
I've spoken with several representatives, and I made it very clear that someone higher up should hear my story. But y'all refuse to do it, and then you keep calling me back, trying to get me to join again. And
Mm-hmm.
what's your reason for today why I should join back with HomeAdvisor?
So I was just giving you a call because we had some requests in your area, so I figured I'd reach out to someone who's already worked with us before, already understands how things
Okay.
work. So if there's anything that we could fix
The,
about your account, a lot of the guys I talk to, most of the time it's an error on how it was set up or something that wasn't communicated. So if there's not,
okay.
the expectations aren't the same,
Okay.
that's where a lot of confusion comes from, and when people aren't happy and they're not satisfied.
Okay.
So if there's anything that we could do at all to,
Yeah.
fix what we did last time, set it up differently.
Let, let
But if
me.
you're not open to that, that's totally fine. I don't want to bug you and
Yeah.
annoy you at all.
Right.
Not
Well, I
my
mean, I just
motive.
want to kind of educate you on the situation. Um, you're telling me they have jobs in the area right now or requests. You say, I got two of those free leads today. Is that what you're referring to?
So you got leads today, or was it like a
No,
preview?
this was today. One at like 11 o'clock and one at like 1 o'clock.
Interesting. Okay, so they were just texted to you, or?
Uh, yes, they were texted to me. Yes, and one actually called me directly. Uh,
Oh, okay.
so I mean, is that what you're looking at? And you're
So, people, no, these are direct requests that come to us. If people call you directly, since it looks like you have renewed it in August. So every single year that you pay, you're still live in our directory for an entire year since you pay for that in the membership.
okay. Um,
So per year that you pay that, yeah,
okay.
you're in there. So you can still get calls directly from customers to see your
Right.
information on there.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
here's the big kicker about those free leads I got. They're also the problem is because people are misinformed, misdirected, and pointed in my direction as if I do that type of service, and I do not. Both of them
Okay. So,
wanted service on their septic tank. They had sewage backing up in their yard, and they wanted me to come fix that. I'm a
geez.
water well service technician. I fix ingoing water, not outgoing water. I've made this very clear. It's on my profile and everything.
Mhm.
But HomeAdvisor refuses to separate septic tanks and water well services. They're under one heading. People will continue to get confused and incorrectly uh, post requests for service on your site,
Right.
and then
Mhm.
ultimately it ends up coming my way. Is if I was in the lead partner program with you, I got 9 out of 10 leads were for septic tank work that I could not get refunded because you couldn't get in contact with them to prove that it was a septic tank job and not a water well job. That is why I broke up
Right.
with HomeAdvisor. That is why not even a month, what, a couple months ago, the guy got me back on again. Within 2 days, the same thing happened again. He promised me, "Oh, I promise you, it won't happen. And if anything happens, I'll straighten it out." It didn't work. Okay, I
And
immediately.
then I'm sure he didn't do his part on the other end, right?
Matter of fact, I didn't hear from the guy for a whole month. And when he
Jeez.
called me back, I said, "Dude, you have got to be kidding me. Why are you calling me
Right.
back now?" But anyway, the other big deal is when I found out that HomeAdvisor is basically Angie's List. I was just floored. Now it makes absolute sense. It's a pay to win company. I mean, and a great analogy that I put toward the lead service is you got three dogs out in the yard in front of you, and you got one bone, and you got a string attached to it, and you throw it out there to them three dogs, and you tell them, go get it. But guess what? You yank that bone back. Oh, I'm sorry, it wasn't a real bone, it was a plastic bone. But guess what? Those three dogs got to pay their part, whether they get that job or not. You get where I'm going with this?
Yeah, and I definitely understand where you're coming
That's the
from.
problem with HomeAdvisor. HomeAdvisor is not for the consumer nor the service company. They're only for themselves. If they were
Well,
working
if
for
like,
either the consumer or the company, they would be placing jobs correctly and only be charging for leads that were legitimate.
right, so with your first kind of like question that you had or issue that you had, being able to separate them, I could try and email them for you. I'm not sure if anyone has even tried reaching out to them yet to
No,
see that if
ma'am.
that would be an option for
It.
them to add on the
How long ago
application.
you said I've been with HomeAdvisor?
The account that I'm looking at says that you were with us from August of 2015 to August of
Right.
2017.
So that was over 3 years ago. You know, nearly from day one, I told them, I said, this is ridiculous. I mean, granted, I got more leads that were actually well worked back then for some reason, but it progressively got worse and worse. And that's when I
Yeah.
had to get in the argument match back and forth with somebody that would try to correct my account and give me a credit. And then I
Yeah.
argued with him. I said, no, 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 you don't understand. A credit's not going to work because I'm going to cancel the service. I want my money back because I'm not
Right.
paying for that. And then they refused that. I said, buddy, if you don't cancel my account right now, it's going to be lawyer time. You know what I'm talking about? But
Right.
anyway, uh, where were we at? So yeah, so that whole time, I was probably speaking to 20 different representatives, and they all had the same
Right.
story. They worked for the company for 2, 3 years. They know what they're talking about, and this and yada yada yada. But it's the same mumbo jumbo. There's been no concrete evidence that HomeAdvisor is not trying to finagle their leads to where they maximize their profit and give a crap about the company or the consumer. So
Right. And especially with your experience too, and not being able to separate it, I can understand how frustrating would be for you. And
so
I'm sure
my
you paid a lot of money for things that you
right.
shouldn't have paid money for.
So my true question is this conversation recorded?
Yeah, all of the
Okay.
conversations are recorded
Here is
through HomeAdvisor.
here is my next big question, and a dare more or less. I dare you to go up to a higher representative and bring my story toward him, and take a risk at making HomeAdvisor better. Believe this: companies would be more willing to be a partner with HomeAdvisor if they were actually on their side and not trying to squitch the numbers around for in their favor only.
Right, and there's both sides to it too. I talk with hundreds of people every single day, 7 days a week, so I understand where you're coming from. I hear it all the time, and I also know
That
on the
doesn't
other
sound
side
very
that
promising.
a lot of these contractors, because it's real, I know people who have completely changed their lives and transform their businesses because of HomeAdvisor. So I know that it works, and my husband works with HomeAdvisor and does landscaping in his business too. So, and I see the good
just
and the bad side,
just
but there
being
are a lot of
online,
people out
sweetie,
there
is
who
good
never.
enough. Look, Google
There
is
are a
a
lot of people
free
who never get
service.
called from the actual contractors.
Yeah.
So it's not like HomeAdvisor is trying to steal your money.
Oh, sweetie, look,
It's
Google
just
is a
understanding on both sides. But I mean, I'm not gonna
yeah.
argue with you back and forth. I can email him to see if there's anything we can do about the application. But other other than that, I don't, want to take up any more of your time or my time.
Mm-hmm.
If there's not like a healthy resolution here.
Right, and that's what I told the guy. I said, look, if you can get that changed, granted, yeah, one company's asking the whole HomeAdvisor system to change, but it is a true legitimate problem that a heading is, not separated. This type of
Right.
service, a water well has nothing to do with a septic tank system, and a sewer has nothing to do with a water well. There are companies, and that's very rare, that they do both. Not all companies do both. So you can't just assume, especially when the profile says one way or another, what they do. They should never get a lead for that. But the consumer
Right.
ultimately is the fool because they don't double check what they're doing and they get led into getting sent to the wrong company.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that needs to be changed.
Yeah. And I can send out an email, see if I can at least get a response for that, because
And
honestly, if I was to go on there and look for like septic or well pump and
Right.
it got put in the same thing, I wouldn't really know the difference unless I looked it up and tried to figure it out.
The other issue is their questionnaire. Like when they go to put in their name, their address, and their phone number, and they fill out this form, they ask them, maybe 5 or 6 questions, and 3 of the questions are absolutely irrelevant. It asks, what type of voltage, what phase is it, and what's the frequency? Irrelevant. Absolutely. They have nothing to do with a water well. Not necessary. Company does not need to know that. They need to know, do you have a water well pump or do you have a septic tank? Do you have above ground pump or do you have a submersible pump? What type of tank do you have? Do you want a filter serviced on your well or something like that? Not 3 irrelevant questions. If things like that could be fixed, y'all would become more relevant to a consumer. They could actually see something with concrete evidence. They would actually know the answer to that question. Right now, they don't know what voltage or frequency. This is something an electrician that, been doing it for 10 years would know. I mean, come on. It's too confusing. So they just go, yeah, no, whatever. And at the end, they say, my pump. I'm going to need to service my pump. Well, guess what?
Hopefully someone calls.
A septic tank's got a pump too. So y'all assume, oh, it's a well pump. Let's repair a well pump. No, it's not. So there's my argument, and that's where it lies.
Okay.
If you can somehow help me out with a higher representative, then other than that, I don't want back in because it's just too misleading.
It doesn't make sense, right? Okay. Cool, Casey. Well, I'll do what I can do on my end and try and figure that out for you so I can actually have an answer for you instead of just band-aiding the issue and acting like, it's going to be completely different. Right. Nothing changes, nothing will be different. So,
right. It's like I said today, I got the 2 free calls I got were septic tank repair work. I mean, I don't want to pay for something that I'm... Oh, geez.
It would have been great if you could actually do them. So, all right. Well, is this the best number to reach you at then, Casey?
Yeah, my cell phone.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, I sent you that text, so that's my direct contact information. If you have any other questions, you can contact me directly from that.
Right.
And I'll let you know as soon as I can answer on what I find out, okay?
Yeah, because I've never gotten an answer like, oh, we tried, but we can't do that, or I don't know.
Right.
Anyway.
I mean, worst case scenario, they say no, and I can just ask them if it's something that they can discuss with other people. No harm done. So.
Right. I mean, they hope they hear my story and understand, what's going on. Because you can't improve the system if you don't do anything about it and just put generic terminology on there. So.
Right. Okay. Perfect, Casey. Well, it was a pleasure talking with you. Like I said, I'll let you know as soon as I hear anything back, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Awesome. Have a good day.
Too. And there you go. That about sums it up for HomeAdvisor.